Let's talk about some division strategies. Let's review some efficient strategies we can think about when we're working with long division. When I divide something by 0, there's just no groups to divide, so I need to know that that means that there's nothing, there's 0. However, when I divide a number by its own self, so 5 divided by 5, that makes one group. So think of it this way: if I was standing and waiting in the gym, and I needed 5 people to play a game, 5 people on a team, and only 5 people showed up, I would have one team. 5 divided by 5 is 1. The same as 65 divided by 65 is 1. Anything divided by its own self makes one group. On the flip side, if a number is divided by 1, the answer is the other divisor. So 9 divided by 1, well, 1 goes into 9 times. As well as 24 divided by 1 would be 1. Or 204, sorry. I apologize. So moving on to halves. Whenever I see a divide by 2, I need to think, can I cut this number in half? And if it's an even number, it can be easily cut into halves. So 8 divided by 2, well, I know that 4 and 4 make 8. So that's a perfect half. Odd numbers can be tricky. 7 divided by 2 would have a remainder, or I would be working with my decimals. We're always thinking about multiplication when we're dividing. So when I see 27 divided by 9, that's asking how many times does 9 go into 27? Or it's asking 9 times what makes 27? So I need to know that 9 times 3 makes 27, and I can use some different strategies to find that. Half and double is a neat one. We'll work on it a bit here in the video. So if I see the number 64 divided by 4, I could break down the number 64 so it's a little bit easier to work with. I could think, well, half of 64 is 32, so I'm going to go 32 divided by 4 is 8, but then I wouldn't be finished. I would need to go 8. I need to double that quotient, sorry. And we'll work on that on some problems here. It'll be kind of nice. And we can divide in smaller steps to break down a number that's a little bit larger. So 54 divided by 18, I can break the 18 down. I can break it down with a 6 and a 3, because 6 and 3 make 18. So 6, 12, 18. Those are factors of 18. So if I wanted to take 54 and divide it by 6, I would get an answer and then divide that further by 3. That would be the same answer as the original question. Compensation is another one we can work with, where if it was divide by 12, I could think of that as meaning divide by 4, and then again divide by 4, because 4 and 4 together are factors of 12. And we'll practice that a little bit. If I see larger numbers that have zeros, I can cancel those zeros. So 360 divided by 60, I could take, these are a match, and I could rewrite that as 36 divided by 6. And really, when I get 36 divided by 6, all of a sudden now I'm thinking this strategy here, because I know that 6 times 6 makes 36. So we're using all sorts of strategies. So let's try it out. Let's start with this one here. So if I see 8,040 divided by 4, I like to write it in a bracket. Just helps me to understand the question a little bit better. So then I need to think, how many times does 4 go into 8,040? And I like to use the father, mother, sister, brother rhyme to kind of help me. And we're really just looking at find, multiply, subtract, bring down. So find a number that works, and that might take time, but that's okay. We're going to have to do some multiplying, we're going to have to do subtraction, and we're going to have to bring down, and repeat until we are finished, or if we have a remainder or a decimal. So I have to find how many times 4 goes into 8, or 8,000. And I have to think, well, if when in one time, 2 times it goes in, but 3 times is too many. So I think twice. Now I need to multiply. 4 times 2 is 8. Sister, subtract, and this one went in perfectly, so I would still brother bring down. So I'm going to look at the next place value and bring that number down. And in this case, I would find how many times does 4 go into 0? Well, it doesn't, so I would have to brother bring down. But I'm going to go through all of these steps so I don't make a mistake. Because I can't put the number here. Like 4 goes into 0 0 times. I need to think 0 times 4 is 0, which is 0, and bring down. So now I'm thinking, how many times does 4 go into 40, or 4 go into this 4? And I want to put the 1 here. I don't want to put it over the other place value, so I have to remember that this is still a step. 4 goes into 4 once, father, find. Now we're on mother, multiply. 4 times 1 is 4. Sister, subtract. Brother, bring down. And in this case, there is more to bring down. 4 goes into 0 0 times. 0 times 4 is 0. 0. Now there's no more brothers to bring down, so I would fill in my zeros completely here, and I would have a completed answer. One other strategy I had a student show me I really liked, and instead of drawing all of these steps, she showed me that she did division a little bit different in how she showed her thinking. So she said, Mrs. Lloyds, I go 4 goes into 8 twice, and then I do the next number here. 4 goes into 0 0 times. 4 goes into 4 once. 4 goes into 0 0 times. And she was able to do that without drawing this arrows. That wasn't as great of it. I'll show that example a little bit more when there's some more carrying over, because this was our first example. Okay, so I'm going to erase this and let's work on another example here. So I